Christianity. For centuries, and let's be honest, millennia, the Christian church has been perfecting the art of spiritual puppetry. Love your neighbor as yourself, they proclaim, while simultaneously crafting an elaborate celestial spreadsheet detailing who's in and who's out, based on whether you recite the magic words and believe the impossible things. It's like a divine game of Simon Says, where Simon is invisible. His commands are contradictory, and if you don't say what Simon says, you get to spend eternity in a lake of fire. Talk about high stakes for a participation trophy. Let's be honest, the Christian narrative, when you strip away the stained glass windows and the pipe organ, is a masterpiece of psychological manipulation. You're born tainted, inherently sinful, like you emerged from the womb with a miniature mugshot. Then you're told there's a cosmic debt collector, an all-powerful being who demands a blood sacrifice to forgive you for a crime you didn't even commit, but he orchestrated. And who's the sacrifice? His own son. It's like a deranged cosmic family drama, where the protagonist is both judge, jury, and executioner, and somehow this is supposed to be good news? I mean, if someone told you they had to sacrifice their kid to save a neighbor from a parking ticket, you'd call Child Protective Services, not sing hymns about their benevolence. And the thought policing. Oh, the glorious thought policing. Not only do you have to believe the impossible, but you can't even think about not believing it. Doubt? That's the devil whispering in your ear. Critical thinking? Heresy. The Bible? The ultimate choose-your-own-adventure book, where every choice leads to the same predetermined conclusion, is the final word on everything from geology to astrophysics. Never mind that it contradicts itself more often than a politician on a campaign trail. You just gotta have faith, baby. And if you don't, well, you're obviously prideful, stubborn, and destined for that aforementioned lake of fire, which, by the way, is eternally hot, but somehow doesn't consume anything. The dangers of remaining shackled to this particular brand of delusion are not just theoretical. They're incredibly damaging to your mind and your very soul. You're taught to ignore evidence, to prioritize ancient myths over modern understanding, to outsource your moral compass to a dusty book, and to view anyone outside your theological bubble as spiritually lost, perhaps even an enemy. This breeds a frightening lack of empathy for those who don't share your specific brand of magical thinking. You end up judging, condemning, and sometimes actively harming others, all under the banner of love and truth. It creates an intense cognitive dissonance where your rational mind screams, "Wait, that doesn't make sense," while your indoctrinated self frantically shushes it down, whispering, "Don't question God, that's pride." This internal conflict is a mental stress factory. It stunts your intellectual growth, forcing you to fit the vast, beautiful complexity of the universe into a tiny Bronze Age worldview. You become terrified of asking the real questions, afraid of what answers you might find that could shatter your carefully constructed reality. Your identity gets swallowed whole by the Christian label, leaving little room for genuine self-discovery. And let's not even start on the financial exploitation, the constant pressure to tithe, to give, to fund sprawling mega-churches while real human suffering goes unaddressed. It's a spiritual protection racket. brilliantly disguised as salvation. If you're nodding along, feeling that familiar pang of recognition, then you're already on the path to liberation. You're starting to see the absurdity, the damage, the sheer waste of mental energy spent contorting yourself to fit into a mold that was never designed for genuine human flourishing. And that, my friends, is where deconstruction comes in. Deconstruction isn't about tearing things down just for the sake of it. It's about carefully, critically examining the foundations of your beliefs. It's about dismantling the walls of dogma that have kept your mind imprisoned and stepping out into the glorious, terrifying, and utterly bringing light of independent thought. And, my friends, a society built on fear of eternal damnation and unquestioning obedience and on the suppression of genuine inquiry is in many ways a sick society. Your journey out of it is a sign of profound mental health and courage. When you deconstruct, you begin to reclaim your mind. You begin to breathe. You start to realize that life outside the Christian bubble isn't a terrifying abyss filled with moral relativism and despair. In fact, it's quite the opposite. This is where secular humanism and atheism truly shine. Think about it. Critical thinking. This is your superpower. No longer are you beholden to ancient texts or the pronouncements of self-appointed prophets. You learn to ask, what's the evidence? What's the logic? Is this consistent? Does this make sense in the real world? You develop intellectual integrity, valuing truth over comfort. This doesn't mean you have all the answers. It means you're equipped to seek them, to embrace uncertainty, and to continually learn and evolve. Your brain, freed from the shackles of dogma, becomes a powerful tool for understanding the world, not just confirming pre-approved narratives. Pre-thought. Imagine a world where every question is okay, where curiosity isn't a sin, but a virtue, where you can explore science, philosophy, art, and human experience without the looming threat of divine disapproval. This is the world of free thought. It means embracing intellectual humility, acknowledging that we don't know everything, and being open to new ideas, even if they challenge your deepest assumptions. It's about the joy of discovery, not the fear of deviation, your own identity and sanity. This might be the most profoundly liberating aspect. For so long, your identity might have been a Christian or a follower of Christ. But who are you? What are your values, your passions, your strengths, or your weaknesses, independent of a religious framework? Deconstructing allows you to peel back the layers of religious conditioning and discover the authentic self underneath. You finally get to define your own morality, your own purpose, and your own path based on empathy, reason, and a desire to make this one life meaningful. The cognitive dissonance fades, replaced by a quiet sense of internal peace and authenticity. No more performing for an invisible audience or struggling to believe things that defy all logic. You get your sanity back. Excuse me. This is wobbling around this camera here. Empathy for one another. This is huge. When you step outside the us versus them mentality inherent in many religions, your capacity for empathy explodes. You realize that morality isn't dictated from on high. It arises from our shared humanity, from our capacity to feel, to suffer, to love. When you no longer believe that only your group has a monopoly on truth or salvation, You can truly connect with people from all walks of life, regardless of their beliefs. You understand that kindness, compassion, justice, and human flourishing are universal values, not exclusive to any one faith. You care about people because they are people, not because they might convert or because a celestial rule book tells you to. Our empathy expands from a tribal affinity to a global kinship. Leaving Christianity or any high controlled religion is not a loss of faith. It's often a profound act of self trust and finding faith in humanity, in reason, and in your own capacity for goodness. It's scary, yes, because you're stepping into the unknown, but it's also exhilarating. You're trading a cage, no matter how glided, for boundless skies. You are reclaiming your sovereignty, charting your own course, and finding meaning in a world that is far more wondrous and complex than any ancient myth could ever convey. So if you're toying with the idea, if the absurdity is starting to outweigh the comfort, know this: you are not alone. There is a vast, compassionate, and intellectually vibrant community waiting to welcome you. No questions asked, no beliefs required, just genuine human connection. The journey out of dogma is tough, but the rewards, freedom, authenticity, sanity, and a deeper, more genuine connection to the human experience are absolutely priceless. This is your life. Make it truly yours. Now, for the facts. The frequently asked questions for the deconstructing mind, and my answers to each. Question number 1: will I lose my sense of morality without Christianity? Absolutely not. Morality is deeply rooted in human empathy, reason, and our social nature. Many secular frameworks, like humanism, provides robust ethical guidelines based on promoting well-being, justice, and compassion for all without the need for divine commands or threats of eternal punishment. In fact, many people find their morality becomes more authentic and expansive once freed from the arbitrary rules and us versus them thinking often found in dogmatic religions. Question number 2: what about community? I'm afraid of losing my friends and family. This is a very common and valid fear. Losing your existing community can be incredibly painful. However, you are not alone. There are thriving communities of ex-believers, atheists, agnostics, and secular humanists online and in many cities. While some relationships may change, you'll also find new connections based on shared values, intellectual curiosity, and genuine acceptance rather than shared dogma. Excuse me, I kicked at the tripod. This morning I'm using a tripod. Sometimes I use a stick, and when you use a stick, it wobbles all around, as you noticed in some of my previous videos out here, especially the one I did yesterday. So this time I'm using a little tripod, and I kicked it. So, okay, this part. You might discover that the relationships you form outside of religion are even stronger because they are based on authenticity. Question number 3. Won't I feel empathy or lose purpose without God? For many, the initial period after leaving faith can feel like navigating a void. However, this emptiness often transforms into a profound sense of freedom and the opportunity to create your own meaning and purpose. Instead of a pre-written script, you get to author your own story. Purpose can be found in contributing to human well-being, pursuing knowledge, creating art, building relationships, experiencing nature, or simply living a life of kindness and curiosity. The meaning you create for yourself is often far more personal and fulfilling than any dictated by dogma. Question number 4. How do I deal with the fear of hell or divine punishment? This fear, often instilled from a young age, can be incredibly persistent. It's important to recognize it as a product of indoctrination, not an objective truth. As you deconstruct and learn more about critical thinking, logic, and the origins of religious beliefs, the fear often begins to dissipate. Surround yourself with information, support secular thinkers, and allow yourself time to reprogram your mind. Many find therapy or counseling helpful in processing religious trauma. Remember, the fear of hell only holds power if you believe in the system that created it. Question number 5. What if I'm wrong and there really is a God and a hell? This is the ultimate what if. However, consider the burden of believing in something simply out of fear of being wrong, especially when there's no compelling evidence to support it. The Pascal's wager argument, believing just in case, is intellectually dishonest and doesn't lead to genuine faith. Instead, focus on living a good, ethical, and fulfilling life here and now, pursuing truth and being a compassionate human being. If a truly just and loving God exists, it seems unlikely they would condemn someone for honestly seeking truth and living a moral life based on reason and empathy, rather than blind adherence to ancient texts. Most atheists conclude that living one's life based on verifiable reality is the most honest and beneficial path. So if this video resonated with you, I encourage you to explore. Read books and online articles from ex-Christians and atheists. Listen to other atheist podcasts. Engage with secular humanist communities. The information is out there, and your journey of discovery is just beginning. And for those of you who have deconstructed or are in the process, what was the single most surprising or liberating realization you had when you started to step away from the Christian faith? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next discussion. Until next time, keep thinking, keep questioning, and keep being brilliantly, authentically you. This is Kim McPhail. Bye. Thanks for watching.